Good afternoon, Periscope friends. I am so excited to be bringing you another Money Making Mom Periscope. And this afternoon we're going to be talking about balancing motherhood and blogging and business. And it's a question that came from Anna. I hope that you are having a great day. I was cracking up earlier because I have on a sweater and oh, welcome Leslie. I have on a sweater and I have become that Nashvilleian person that I said I wouldn't become because I'm from Kansas and we moved to Nashville, the Nashville area last year, and we cracked up because last winter, fall and winter, it was like anytime it was below 65 degrees, everyone pulled out their sweaters and their boots, and we were cracking up because in Kansas, we don't pull out sweaters and boots until it's like below 40 degrees. Well, today it was below 65 in the morning and I pulled out the warm clothes and I cracked up because I have become that person. But anyway, welcome for those of you who are new. My name is Crystal Payne. I am the founder of MoneySavingMom.com. I am also the New York Times bestselling author of the book, Say Goodbye to Survival Mode. And I am also the creator of the 14-day online course called Makeover Your Mornings, and that's at makeoveryourmornings.com. If you're interested in finding ways to start your day with more success and more organization and to feel more on top of your life, be sure to go to makeoveryourmornings.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, and you can fill out your name and your email address, and we will send you day one of the course for free so you can check it out and see if it's a good fit for you. So today we're talking about balancing motherhood and blogging and business. And for those of you who don't know, I am married to Jesse. We've been married for 12 and a half years, and I have 3 kids. We have 3 kids, I should say. Catherine is 10, Caitlin is 8, and Silas is 6. And we live in the Nashville, Tennessee area, as I said, and we have we homeschool our kids. We're self-employed entrepreneurs, and we homeschool. My husband and I share the homeschool responsibilities. I homeschool in the morning, and he homeschools in the afternoon. So we have gotten pretty good at this whole balancing thing and having a lot of different balls that we're juggling. And how do you do that? And how do you have a healthy balance? And how do you allow to not have the business and blog become a burden, but how do you keep it in the blessing zone? Because that's really my goal, is I want the business and the blog to be a blessing, not a burden to my family. So we're going to talk about that today. And this question comes from Anna. Anna wrote in, she actually tweeted at me. So if you have a question that you would love for me to answer in a Money Making Mom scope, you can tweet at me. My Twitter handle is @MoneySavingMom. Really simple. So Anna said, how did you balance your small children along with starting your blog during those early years? This is something that people ask me a lot. How did you balance when you're first starting? How do you balance now? And so we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to share what I've learned. And if you're wondering how to find the time, really practical ways to find time to start a business, be sure to watch yesterday's scope, because I talk about very practical ways to find time to start a business, whether you have kids or don't have kids, whether you're married or not married, practical ways to find time. And you can find that scope at my Catch page, catch.me/MoneySavingMom. So that's katch.me/MoneySavingMom. And you can see the Money Making Mom scope that I did yesterday on how to find time to build a business. But today we're going to be talking specifically for moms who have younger children who are wondering, how do you juggle it? How do you balance it? How do you do this business and blogging thing and have kids? And how do you do it well? And most of the ideas that I'm going to be sharing are from my new book, Money Making Mom. This book comes out November 3rd, and this book is about how every woman can earn more and make a difference. Thank you, Christy, for sharing the Catch page. So if you are wanting to increase your income, if you're wanting to find practical ways to be a mom and to increase your family's income, be sure to pick up a copy of Money Making Mom. Thank you, Crystal, for pre-ordering it. And be sure to go to moneymakingmombook.com MoneySavingMom.com for all the information on the free bonuses you can get when you pre-order. That's MoneyMakingMomBook.com. And you can also, when you're there, sign up for my free 5-day course on how to make a full-time income from home. So, how do you balance having children and having a business? Well, first off, I need to tell you this, and that is the thing that I have done this really wrong in the past. And honestly, my first book, Say Goodbye to Survival Mode, was all about how I stretched myself too thin and I hit rock bottom and I almost lost my health and my marriage and my family and my business over trying to do too much, over not doing a good job of balancing. So I can tell you that I have made a lot of mistakes. And so I share this with you not because I have it all figured out, but because I've struggled and I've learned and I've grown. So it was when my third baby was born, I had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. And I was running 3 blogs at that time. Don't ask me why, but I was running 3 blogs, and we had just moved, and my husband was starting his own law firm, and he was trying to get that off the ground. And so I was helping him some with that, but we weren't really bringing in an income from that. And so I had 3 blogs, and we were trying to live off of that. And so I was carrying a lot on my plate because I wanted my husband to succeed and go out and start his own business. And so I really encouraged him to do that. And I said, I will blog while you start this business. And he did, and it ended up being a very successful law firm that he had for 5 years, and was a huge blessing and was a wonderful thing for him. But in the early beginning stages of that law firm, I had 3 little kids and 3 blogs, and I was trying to do way too much. And I completely burned myself out. And I was burning the candle at both ends. I remember I would pull all-nighters because my baby wasn't sleeping. And so I would be up in the wee hours of the morning trying to blog when my child was, my baby was asleep, so that I could try to be present during the day. And I was behind on everything, and I was really struggling. And I finally got to the place where I just said, I cannot do this anymore. I'm trying to do too much. And you think I would have figured that out earlier, but I didn't. It took me getting to rock bottom, into a really, really bad place where my health was suffering so much that every month I would be bedridden for 5 days or so because I was just running myself ragged. And so I'd be in bed with this high fever and pain all throughout my body. And I just kept thinking, if I would just get more organized, if I would just push a little bit harder, if I would just get a little bit less sleep, I'm going to be able to figure out how to do this. But it wasn't working. And finally, I just came to this place where I said, I can't do it anymore. And I came to my husband and I said, I just can't do this. And honestly, I thought that he would kind of pat me on the back and say, you're doing a great job, just keep it up, keep it up. But you know what? That's not what he said. Instead, he said, you're bringing this on yourself. You're bringing this on yourself. Now, that was not what I wanted to hear, but it was exactly what I needed to hear, because I realized that after 24 hours of kind of processing it and thinking through it and realizing he's right. I didn't need to have 3 blogs. I didn't need to be saying yes to that and yes to that and yes to that and yes to that and stretching myself so thin. I realized that he was right. And I realized that I was the problem. But you know what that meant? If I was the problem, it also meant that I was the solution. And so I went on a journey. To really discover, how can I climb out of this pit, this crazy pit that I've created for myself of just being so overwhelmed, and how can I find a healthy balance? And I had to walk away from a lot of things. I had to say no to a lot of things. I had to say no to a lot of opportunities, a lot of wonderful things in order to find that healthy balance. And I want to share with you 4 really important truths that I've learned in the process. Number 1 is that I have to embrace my calling. This was something that it took me a long time to really work through and figure out. And if you watched my scope yesterday, where I talked about finding time to build a business, I shared about how I had to make the shift between being a stay-at-home mom and being a work-at-home mom. And one of the reasons why I was so overwhelmed is because I was feeling like I had to do everything to keep my house up, to keep my business up, to be a good wife and mom. And I felt like I had to do everything because I was a stay-at-home mom and I wanted to be frugal. And so when I made the shift from realizing that I was a work-at-home mom, which meant that I am working at home and I can't do everything that someone who is not working at home can do. I had to make that shift. And so embracing my calling and realizing that this was something that God had called me to. And so God had given me the gift of being a writer, and I had to own that, and that was okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It was a beautiful thing, but I had to embrace it instead of kind of fight against it and feel like I just want to be a stay-at-home mom, but realizing, no, I have this gift that God has given me. And so it's okay. I can be both writer and mom, and I can do both well. So I had to embrace that calling first instead of kind of fighting against it and feeling like I shouldn't have this pull in both directions. Embracing both things and realizing I could do both well. And then to figure out, okay, if I'm going to embrace my callings, then how am I going to walk that out? So one, I embraced my callings, realizing that writing was my passion. I can't not write. But motherhood is also a huge passion of mine, and it's a huge calling of mine. And so how do I do both well? So two, I had to change my definition of what a healthy balance was. So embrace my calling and then change my definition of healthy balance. Now, I think so much of the time this word balance, it's this myth. It's this thing that we think we can attain. We think if we just get more organized, if we sleep less, if we work harder, if something happens, we're going to be able to achieve perfect balance. But I really feel like perfect balance is a myth. It's a misnomer. It isn't actually possible. It isn't actually possible to have everything in perfect line all the time. Instead, healthy balance is where every single important area of your life is being taken care of, is being given priority over the course of a period of time. So if you look at your week and you see that you've invested in your marriage, you've invested in your kids, you've invested in your business, it's not going to mean that every single day is going to have the exact same amount of investment. For instance, when I launch a book, like I'm launching a book on November 3rd, Money Making Mom is coming out. That week is going to be kind of all hands on deck launching a book. All hands on deck, and I have that week completely blocked out on my calendar. It will mean that we will probably, my husband will probably do all of the homeschooling that week. It will mean that we probably get takeout that week. It will mean that I might hire on some extra help that week, because I'm launching a book that week. But guess what? Last week, I was in South Africa, and I was with my family, and I was offline almost the entire week. I got online most days for just a short amount of time, sometimes like 5 to 15 minutes. And otherwise, I was offline and I was with my family, because this was a really important thing for me to just be all there with my family, experiencing this special, special week. And so, is that last week, would it have looked like I had perfect balance? Would it have looked like I was doing an amazing job of being a businesswoman? No. But that's okay, because I was being intentional about being with my family. The week that my book comes out, November 3rd, that week, is it going to look like I have perfect balance? No. Because I'm going to be focusing hours of every single day on launching this book. But that's okay, because looking at a longer period of time and seeing, am I being intentional about all the areas of my life that are priorities, that I've deemed to be priorities? So look at your week and say, are you investing in your marriage? Are you investing in your business? Are you investing in your kids? That's more what a healthy balance looks like, that you are making each of those areas a priority over the course of a time. Not that every single day is perfect balance, because life happens and things come up, and sometimes, you know what, you need to chuck the business so that you can focus on your family. For instance, I had planned to do the scope at 3 o'clock, and then guess what? One of my kids was really struggling and they were having some bad attitude issues, and I just needed to sit with them and work through that with them. And it took about 30 minutes of working that through. So I was late to do the scope, but I had my priorities in order. And so it doesn't mean that you do everything perfectly, but that you have a healthy balance, that your business is not a burden, but a blessing to your family. So change your definition of what a healthy balance looks like, and that it's not going to ever be perfect. And so that's number 2. So 1, embrace your calling. 2, I had to change my definition of healthy balance. 3, I had to delegate and dump a bunch of responsibilities. Delegate and dump a bunch of responsibilities. And so for me, I had to start asking myself, when an opportunity came up, I had to ask myself, when am I going to find the time to do this? Is this going to take time and effort away from my most important priorities? Could I delegate this project to someone else? What is going to be the return on my investment of time? You have to create boundaries. You have to realize that when you say yes to one thing, you're going to say no to something else. So what are you saying yes to? What are you saying yes to? And what are you saying no to? Really figure out, what are your priorities? Maybe this season of life, your priority is not to start a business. Maybe it's not to really expand your business. For instance, just this morning, I was on a website of a woman who has a very successful business, and I was looking at what she was doing and I was being inspired, but then at the same time, I started thinking, well, I should be doing that, and I should be doing that, and I'm failing, and I'm not doing enough, because look how amazing all these things are that she's doing. And then I realized, you know what? She can do that, but I can't right now. I can't right now. I can only do what I can do. And it's okay. In this season of life, if my pictures aren't Pinterest worthy when I put them up on my blog, if things are a little bit messy, if things are not all perfectly branded and put out at the perfect time, I just am in a season of life where I'm doing the best that I can do, and then being okay with the fact that there's so much that I can't do. I have to be okay with that. Otherwise, I'm going to constantly look around and feel like I don't measure up. And so this morning, when I was starting to feel like that and starting to kind of hyperventilate over the fact that I wasn't doing enough, I really stepped back and I told myself, what is the truth in this situation? The truth is that I cannot add more to my plate. So it's okay if things don't look as amazing and as perfectly launched as this other person. It's okay that I'm not doing what she is doing, because I am me. And so giving myself permission to delegate and dump many things. For instance, my book is coming out November 3rd, and we always send out influencer boxes, which this means boxes to people who they might have a blog, they might have a large email list, something, maybe they're a periscoper, maybe they're a podcaster. So about 100 boxes go out that are really pretty and have some fun things in them. Well, my team really wanted me to write individual handwritten notes to go out in all 100 boxes. And you know what? I just had to say, that is not a priority right now. I know that that would take hours and hours of my time, and I know it would be a special touch, but I just can't do that right now, so I'm going to have to say no. And then a few weeks ago, my publisher came to me and they said, okay, we're ready to record the audiobook. Can you record the audiobook? Which we hadn't really talked about. I knew there was going to be an audiobook, but we hadn't really talked about it. And they wanted it done in the next 2 weeks. And I said, you know what? That is going to take 2.5 days of my life to record. recording an audiobook. I've done my other 2 books as an audiobook, and it's a lot of work. A lot of work, and it's very draining. And it's so wonderful to have the author reading the audiobook, because only the author can give the voice inflections and the passion that's behind it. But you know what? In that 2-week period, I didn't have 2.5 days to devote to doing the audiobook. And so I just said, you know what? Could they hire someone who is an audiobook recording artist? There are people that do that. Could they just hire someone to do it instead of me, because I just can't? And so giving myself permission to delegate and delete things and pass them on to someone else, or just say no, that's so freeing. And I have to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to pack my schedule so full that guess what my family's going to get? They're going to get the leftovers. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get the leftovers. And I do not want them to get the leftovers. I want them to get the best parts of me. So I had to embrace my callings, I had to change my definition of a healthy balance. Number 3, I've had to delegate and dump dozens of responsibilities. And then 4, I'm learning to give myself grace. And I just shared some examples of ways that I've given myself grace recently. And this has really come home to me in with my whole cancer scare, for those of you who followed that, and then the surgery and the recovery from the surgery. I felt like it was like God just giving me this kind of red light saying, you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You need to give yourself grace. And so it's hard. It's hard sometimes because I have a driving personality and I want to just go, 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 go. And I have all these great ideas. I always have way more ideas than time. But I can't do it all. And especially at this season of life when I have 3 young children and I'm homeschooling, I can't do it all. So I have to give myself grace to say no, to say, you know what? I need to focus on making sure that I'm refreshing myself, that I'm pouring into myself so that I can pour into others. Because if I'm all tapped out, I have nothing to give my family and I have nothing to give anyone else. So I have to give myself grace to take it slowly, to take time to rest so that I can pour into other people. So one of those things for me is just setting the bar lower. With this book launch, I usually would want to have everything all mapped out and start, planning and working months in advance. And this time around, I just had to say, you know what? I'm going to start the beginning of October and I'm going to give it all I have in the time that I have to pour into this. It's not going to be as amazing as some people who have been doing it for months and months, planning their book launch and being all strategic. But this is what I have to give. And so giving myself grace and giving myself permission to just do the best that I can do and be okay with that. And not look at other people and feel like I'm failing because they're doing so much better than me. I just have to compare myself with only myself and realize that at the end of the day, if I launch this book and it's not as amazing of a launch as other people's, but I haven't lost my family and my health in the process, that's what's most important. And so not beating myself up over how much I have left to go, how far I have left to go, but instead focus on being excited over the progress that I'm making and celebrating that. And then looking for ways to make sure that I'm resting and refreshing myself. So one way that we do that is Sundays are our off day. And oftentimes I will have my phone off, my computer off. I don't blog on Sundays and I will be completely offline on Sundays. There is so much refreshment that comes from that. We need to take time to step away from the noise and to refresh ourselves. And so that's one way that I give myself grace and give myself permission to rest. So 4 ways that I am learning to balance motherhood and business and blogging is by embracing my callings, by saying I am a writer and I'm a mom, and how can I do both together and do it well? Number 2, changing my definition of healthy balance. That healthy balance doesn't mean that everything is perfect all the time, but that I am being intentional about investing in my priorities, the biggest priorities of my life, within every single week, that I'm investing in those priorities and taking time for those priorities, and that one thing is not getting all of my time and investment and the other things are being shortchanged. Number 3, that I'm delegating and dumping dozens of responsibilities, not comparing myself to other people, not feeling like I have to do what other people are doing, but learning and being inspired from other people and then saying, you know what? I'm going to do the best that I can do. And number 4, giving myself grace, giving myself permission to rest, giving myself permission to step back, to take that time to pour into myself so that I can pour into others. So that's what I wanted to share with Anna and with the rest of you today. If you have a question on business or blogging that you'd love for me to answer in a scope, be sure to tweet at me at MoneySavingMom. I'm at MoneySavingMom on Twitter, or you can go to the contact form on my site, MoneySavingMom, and you can leave you can email us through the contact form, and I will consider answering your question in upcoming scope. So all of this, if you are wanting to start a business and figure out a way to make the business a blessing to your family and not a burden to your family, if you want step-by-step help for how do you balance motherhood and a business, how do you do it well, I encourage you to pre-order a copy of Money Making Mom, How Every Woman Can Earn More and Make a Difference. This is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and it will be coming out in November 3rd. And if you go to moneymakingmombook.com, moneymakingmombook.com, you can read about the free bonuses that we're offering when you pre-order. There's some really cool bonuses that I'm so excited about. And you can also sign up for our 5-day course. It's a video course that I did with 5 days of how I make a full-time income from home. So it's my 5 keys to success. So go to moneymakingmombook.com to sign up for the 5-day course. It's free, and I think that you'll find it very inspirational and encouraging. So that's what I want to share with you today, and I will look forward to seeing you back here on Monday at around 7:30 a.m. Central Time for our morning motivation show. Thanks so much and have a wonderful weekend.